Hey guys, it's Matt and Puss. I'm going to talk about the artificial nature of history, but in doing so, it's important to always tie in whatever we notice about history into how reality behaves itself. There's a lot of people in truth channels on YouTube that do expose and poke into, um, you could say, the artificial nature of history, but I don't think they ever try to tie it into how reality itself functions. So, as you've heard me say many times, there's a script of some kind that plays out here. The world, just for the benefit of anybody new, this reality is far more illusory than it is real of any substance. It appears to be of substance. Our senses, of course, need to create that situation, that scenario. We have to be absolutely fooled in that regard, or this life or existence doesn't work very well. So I try to notice the repeating themes. I'm going to talk about um, the ridiculous, to me, the ridiculous presentation of the fall of the Roman Empire. But can you tie it into, it's almost like the as above, so below thing. Can you tie it into corporate empires that just went away, like Kodak, for example, or RCA Records in the 60s and 70s? And there's always an excuse, right? There's always an excuse that, well, Matt, some big corporations, they're going to miss the trends, but are they really going to miss the trends? Is Kodak just going to sit up there as all the digital comes, digital cameras, everything going to digital, and they're just going to say, we're going to stick to film? And I mean, there's always a parroted story as to what happened. But it's, to me, if you observe this, Matt, you're equating Kodak to the, sorry, let the deep freeze is coming in here soon, to the Kodak, to the fall of the Roman Empire. Those dumbass commercials in the 70s with James Garner and that woman, nobody knew her name. She was never in a TV show or movie. She just seemed to be famous from these dumbass Kodak commercials with James Garner. That's the same as the Roman Empire. Yeah, there's a reason why, potentially as above, so below is the most important esoteric or occult, phrase or mantra that exists in this reality. To me, it means, by the way, if anybody ever, you've heard me do this before. If anybody explains to you exactly what that means, they don't know what they're talking about because it means 10 or 20 different things. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people and with different interpretations. There is no one meaning for it. I'm positive of that. But in this case, what it means is something as massive as the Roman Empire, um, or you could say a small company or a giant company, but it's not even 1/1 millionth of the Roman Empire, like Kodak or RCA Records. In a way, is might act like the Roman Empire, but you have to back up and see how this whole reality script is playing out. There might not be many real people here, folks. We all assume everybody's the same. You might have heard once or twice, all men. Why did they leave out women? All men are created equal. We've heard these phrases and we've heard these themes, equality, but is this a last ditch attempt to throw us off that no, not all, there's a lot of different types of people. And I'm not talking about races, creeds, colors. I'm talking about different types of entities here, spiritual entities. Guys, I have to pause, and you don't want me to do this on camera. I'll be right back. Sorry. What I mean is, no matter how real a piece of history is, so I said the Roman Empire seems ridiculous how that's presented to us. What I'm saying is, even that could be completely real, but who is exercising the reality script? We get back into people that aren't the same as you and me, or NPCs. There is a reality script that takes place in this reality system. Now, many in the truth community would say now that it's meant to distract us, to harness our emotions and our energy, to trick and fool real people. But others would say the whole reality script in general, if it can be noticed and we can see through the trick, is actually very much to our benefit. And at this point, I would say that there's no doubt about it. As bad as everything has gotten, I wouldn't go back. I don't think I've never talked to anybody or heard a comment or got an email that saying, Matt, I would give back all that I know, all that I've been able to see for the ability to have a normal life prior to 2019, where I could go out to a bar and or I wasn't worried about they're going to implement some MID passport on me, or nobody would go back in our community. Um, I would wonder about you if you were willing to trade all your knowledge, which is the whole reason we're here, which could pay, if you just to put it in earthly years perspective, which could pay dividends for a trillion years, whatever you do here, just to go back just to enjoy a few more decades of the life or the reality or the existence that used to be, what we still naturally so covet from, I covet from the 80s or the 90s when there were good movies and good entertainment and friends and family got together, at least from my perspective. I'm not, is that just because I was younger or because, well, it's both. I mean, everybody's grown apart. Um, Nobody talks to each other, and that's even before you factor in the outcast factor of what I'm involved in or what you're interested in. Is the out? It's bad enough, Matt, and then we have the outcast factor that's placed on us. I mean, yeah, it's bad. Matt, are you going to make another video on Christmas saying for those alone? Maybe. I've got to talk to Rob actually, because isn't Sunday? Isn't it Sunday? Christmas Day? Rob has a big family. I'm going to be like harassing him. Load free voice. I'm harassing him to load free voice in the middle of his Christmas goose. We'll see. I'll get back to you on that, and I need to reach out to Rob. But guys, um, in other words, the Rome. Let's just go back to the Roman Empire. Every bit of it makes no sense, but it may be entirely real if those playing it out from Caligula and his pants down all the way down through the Roman foot soldiers, if 90% of those playing it out are just background characters of this reality script. I don't like the term NPCs. For some reason, I always would want to think, or I'm not sure exactly where my belief set. My belief set is very simple, and I don't think there's any reason to go past it. That most people here are not like us. Now, whether they were real boy Pinocchio and they lost themselves to wood, or they've always are background characters, I don't think it matters at this point. If they serve the reality script that's being played out, however it's delivered from the not nilk screen, does it matter? I mean, they're serving it. Are they NPCs or were they were once the same as us? I don't know. It doesn't, and it doesn't fit in with my worry about yourself philosophy. We're here to do for ourselves. If we can wake or shine a light for a few people along the way, great. One or two, three. We're not gonna wake up anybody in mass. It just I've given I've told you I've given I made movies on disc about the big event in 2001, and it was in that period when the old channel, the Texas Shrugged, was shut down, and then it was about 8 months to a year or so before the Quantum of Conscience started. And I said, I've got a lot of footage here, and I spent a lot of time making these movies to do nothing with, but making sure the footage is preserved. And I made a 7-Eleven part-time job application movie that was so rock solid with so many holes. I didn't think there was a person alive I could hand it to. Maybe that's the key, Matt. Maybe they weren't alive. Yeah, you're right. That I could hand it to that wouldn't be like, wow, that's not what they presented on the news. And then the best example was one of Pam's friends, this guy who's just a complete child of the Matrix in every way. I handed, he said I didn't talk to him after he gave the disc back to Pam. I didn't ask for the disc back. I was just burning them. He said, I don't know what he's talking about. I watched it. Okay, I'm not convinced of anything. What? I mean, you know how rock solid, just some of these strange anomalies, and there's hundreds and hundreds back to back to back to back to back. He's like, I don't see what this guy's where he's going, and he's a wacko. Like, and then I started thinking crazy things like, did this? You've heard me talk about this before. We'll get back onto the regular theme. When he popped the disc into his DVD player, did he even see exactly what I laid down? What did he see? Well, probably, Matt, but it was translated in a. He has a field or a governor or a decoder, a reality decoder that's completely different than yours. And but it's so, some of the evidence is so one-sided ridiculous regarding the 7-Eleven job application 2001 that you think, well, it doesn't matter how your reality bubbles decoding. If you stack up, I mean, just basic examples, we have hundreds of, if you stack up 10 bricks on top of each other, flat, and you just pull out the ninth brick, can the top brick just fall through all the other bricks? I mean, this is literally the conversation I had. It's that simple with Tony about a month and a half ago about we'll just call it V'ger, Star Trek's V'ger, Voyager V'ger, the Star Trek One. And he's like, Matt, I know it's billions of miles away. I know they say it's on the other side of the fart cloud. I know. Oh, well, they have it. These scientists know what they're doing, Matt. They have the dishes exactly pointed in the right direction to get the signal back. I was like, what? To me, this is literally as absurd as somebody running around the corner saying, I just saw an ant lift a Mack truck up over its head and throw it like the Hulk 50 yards down the road. It's actually, V'ger is actually more ridiculous than that. Okay? You can't, the way they describe it to us, Matt, get back to your point here. One more minute. The different bodies moving in different directions. The whole solar system is now moving away from V'ger, but Tony believes they have that dish pointed exactly right. He's like, well, Matt, that you believe in satellites, don't you? He said because he probably read a few things about what many of us. I don't know what those. We'll talk about that some other time. I don't believe anybody gets in their tuna fish can and can go anywhere. But satellites are, I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't really matter. He says, what am I going to do? I said, yes, of course, Tony. I believe. Well, Matt, they point a beam down and they're very far away. What? And I'm not going to, Matt, you did this video before. Move on. Okay. So it's like, okay, if that's a satellite down pointing at somebody's direct TV receiver, that's like me with a BB gun hitting a bottle 6 feet away versus V'ger, it would be like me with the BB gun hitting the bottle that's in Beijing and then times a million. So how is that the same? Anyway, the point is, guys, it was like I said before, it was just like our reality bubbles were decoding reality, and it was just not, they could not be shared across the membrane of our reality bubbles. He was saying was not, but I see what I believe that what I was saying was truly nonsense to him. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him mentally. I mean, of course, we're the ones that are the outcasts in this reality. Per what reality is and how the ship of fools has sailed, he's decoding reality correctly. He's using, when you turn your damn TV on and it says software updating, and it's like, again? How many times does damn software have to update? Well, it doesn't get in the way of you watching TV. It's like, why does everything have to update? Turn on the damn computer, Skype every 2 weeks is like, I got to update. Like, I don't even use the damn thing. But okay, that's what they get these updates. In my opinion, this is how reality works. They get these updates as the ship of fools sails, which decodes the reality that the not milk or the screen wants to give to them. And it's completely incompatible. We don't get those updates, or they go right through us, or they don't work on us. We're like I don't know, like an old computer that can't get the firmware update. That's not on the damn internet. Like, those still have the damn Mattel game, the little dots, the football game, the dots that go around. That's never been on the internet. That's never been attached to V'ger. That you can't give no updates to that thing. That's what we are. So, you've heard me say it. We are truly outcasts. We are the crazy ones from their perspective, and they would be right. But who wants to be compatible with that reality? So the point is, you have to factor in, it's not always as simple as Roman Empire. Matt, that's just fake history. Why do I keep knocking this thing off? Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Um, is Puss Puss back there? Yeah, Puss Puss went up into the little cave there. Um, it may be. What I'm saying is, what Gus is saying here is the Roman Empire could be completely real, but those that are on the script or the download that are playing it out or acting it out will act out what the reality script once acted out, once what the screen of the not milk wants to lay down. So from our perspective, all we can do, all we did for years, or with the truth community in general, all it can do is point at it and yell fake, like every single textbook was covered up, and the men in black came in, and the little blue people came in overnight and changed this line in this book, and these paintings were airbrushed, and it's not possible. It's much more likely, even though it is, when I say it's fake, I'm just saying it's fake because it's a reality script. But it's likely, or most things, um, well, the Roman Empire is so massive, it's likely a hybrid, but many of these things are likely real, but truly fake from our perspective, because you would say no normal world would act like that, or that would never play out. But the people who are the actors in this reality that are playing it out, there is no limit on the absurdity of what actually can happen if you have people that aren't people, or people that are NPCs, or just serving the reality script here. And how far do you want to take it? I mean, and again, I don't want to take it too far. I'm just asking you to keep this on the table. And every time I look, I go back to this. Every time, a lot more here is real, but it's so impossible and bizarre to us because we're seeing through the script that we call it fake. Yet to those on the download of the Ship of Fools, it is real. Now I'm not going to go too far, like a Mr. Robbie Bibby 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 Robbie Bibby Bibby. He came up the Robbie Bibby Bibby. He came up the next day and he was like, um, now do I believe he believes? No, do I think he's a real? Of course not. Of course, do I even need to say that? Do I believe that he believes? Of no. Okay, at some point you just there's no way we can go there. That he's so on the download. He believes no. Okay. But Matt, if you just said if these people are not real and they are literally serving a script, then why is it impossible that he believes it? It's not impossible. I'm just asking you to leave that weird stuff on the table. But as it's being carried out, it's just like in the Truman Show. If there, you say that's huge truth as it was shown to us, but there's also huge deception for those of us trying to decode reality. The Truman Show, a major part of its deception, in my opinion, is trying to show us, and it's reinforcing the false notion in the truth community that everybody's in on it. Truman Show showed you, Matt. That guy that's selling the hot dog, he doesn't even think Truman's going to come up to him, but he's pushing his cart and he's prepared to deliver his lines if Truman decides to get a hot dog today. They're all in on it with Christoph or whatever, the Ed Harris coordinator. That's what it showed you. That's not how this reality works. This reality has 99% of those actors are Trumans. The guy pushing the hot dog cart is in the damn dome, is serving Christoph in the script, but he's doing the exact same thing for Truman. Truman would be the real spiritual being, maybe the few of us that are here, like you and I are. But the guy pushing the hot dog cart believes in every bit of it. They're all Trumans, and that's how this reality works. With some exceptions, people will bend my words. Matt thinks nothing's fake now. No, there are still fake presentations. But if you want to understand how reality works, you have to see that these fake presentations are not as fake as we thought, or not fake per the definition that we think, because most of the people involved are on some sort of scripted download or frequency where they're believing in it. They're believing in it. I mean, if you just take, I don't know, point it, throw a dart, um, NASA. All right. Again, it's just we can disagree at the periphery, but 10 years ago, every bit of everybody there knows that it's pause, it's bunk. Everybody, and then because that wasn't really working, then we had to come up with a bunch of bullshit excuses so we could sleep at night. Like, yeah, this really isn't working any longer. How everybody, tens of thousands of people, decade after decade, could be completely in on it, keeping quiet. And oh, Matt, here's a term that so you guys can sleep at night. Compartmentalization. Oh, I see. Oh, that makes me feel so much better. Now I can then go back inside my toy box for the answer. I can then go back between the reality bookends for the answer. The guy that makes the glove or the condom for the astronaut, you never know. You got to be prepared up there. You've seen some of these movies. You don't know what you're going to meet up there. They furnish him with condoms. The guy that made the glove, he didn't know. He just made the glove. So then the whole truth came in and went, oh my God, compartmentalization. I probably knocked the mute button 20 minutes ago. I'm talking to nothing. Um, no. Okay. Is there some legitimacy to the concept of compartmentalization? Of course. Well, Matt, stop moving your hands around. You don't want to knock the cord. I hear you. Of course, there's legitimacy to it, but it doesn't explain. I'm trying to go in strange places to explain how this could work. So getting back to the original topic, um, these reality scripts play out across the board, and from it, like as above, so below. They're very similar how they play out. Um, and the thing to keep in mind is the people playing it out, for the most part, in my opinion, hi, this is Zara, believe in every bit of it. Okay, 99 whatever percent believe in every bit of it. Like the Truman Show, where everybody pushing the hot dog cart. Christoph knows what they are from that perspective, but they believe they're a hot dog vendor when they have no idea how they're serving it. So I mean, just to finish off with the Roman Empire, I mean, you just do some basic research. None of it makes any sense. Rose to power 300, 200 BC, into right around the time of Jesus. The ultimate height of power was roughly 50 years or so after the time of Jesus, and then at 300 or 350 AD, it began to lose its power. And you look into this and say, well, why? Oh, and all history and Wikipedia, and it's still begging for its $2. This morning, it's begging for its $2. Oh, Matt, the Visigoths. You don't know about these Visigoths. And these Germanic people, and these Germanic. Didn't you see the beginning of not Spartacus, Gladiator? Didn't you see the beginning of Gladiator, Matt? The Visigoths and the barbarian hordes. And there's actually a section that says that they occupied Rome. Where'd they go? So it's just, look, it doesn't matter how much of it is real, how much it is fake, because we are sure about one thing. It is a gigantic reality script that is out to throw us off or distract us from our true reason for being in this life. It is that simple. And the entire trick, whether it be what is this aspect of history or is Vanna White coming back for another year, every aspect of the trick actually at the highest level coordinates to distract real souls and spirits, distract from their true um, purpose for being. It's that simple. It is two sentences. What were some of the other things I wanted to talk about? Let me look at my notes for a second, guys, and come back on this theme. Okay, from the quote, as above, the Roman Empire, something that massive, let's go to the below. Let's go to the lowest level. Now, all of us can see how fake this whole scenario is. How the rise of Facebook. Let's do 1.5 minutes or less and see if we can learn a lesson about that. Is it as fake as it seems? Is it as coordinated as it seems? Or is it just the players inside the reality script playing out what the not and wants without everybody getting their cue cards? So the rise of Facebook is so absurd because you have, right at the time Facebook gets tremendous popularity, you have these ridiculous elements of the story. So we see the absurdity, real spiritual beings in this truth community. We point it out, and this is ridiculous. Of course, our friends and family believe in every bit of it. You have the CIA dropping its program, whatever, it was trying to do the same thing, but oh, it just happened to drop the week before. That's part of the ridiculous script. And if it leaked out, it was meant to leak out. Matt, we got those papers. That was a freedom for. And you know what the biggest bullcrap in the world is? The Freedom for Information Act. We got it, Matt. They have to comply with that. Oh no, they don't. If it goes out through the Freedom of Information Act, it's exactly what they want to get out. How many truthers still believe in that horse shit? So the CIA dropped their program, and then there was Friendster, and then there was MySpace, and MySpace was the big one. MySpace was 90% of this market, and Friendster. I remember flipping by a show where I had this little kid, this little turd type kid. He seemed like, I don't know, I wasn't 10 years old, but I don't know if he was on Oprah. Somebody said something like, you realize that if you sell that thing today, it could be worth about $1 billion. And the little Friendster troll was like, no, I'm not selling, man. I'm not selling. Well, okay, so Friendster just goes away and MySpace. Oh, Matt, the same scripted response from our family and friends. Excuse me. Um, our family and friends. Matt, see, it was just bad business. MySpace sold out to the corporate juggernaut, the corporate behemoth that always mismanages. That's the same parroted script, just like Disney with Star Wars. See, these themes expose reality itself. The themes expose the nature of the script. See, then Rupert Murdoch and those jerk offs, they got a hold of it and they ruined it. Oh, that's what. So my friend Tony and people around us are like, yeah, that's what happened, and it makes perfect sense to them. But then we're only one layer up from that. I don't think we are in this community, but the truth community in general is one layer up from that. Would we think that's the top layer in understanding reality? Of course not. So the truth community says, well, that's ridiculous. It's all fake. So it's all coordinated and planned out. And Rupert Murdoch, got out of a swimming pool one day, and the ticker tape was coming out of the bat phone, and he's like, "What? We just bought this thing at Fox. We bought this MySpace, and now it's saying here the not milk generals and colonels that stand behind the screen are saying that we have to pretend to mismanage it to make room for this thing called Facebook. That little scamp Mark Zuckerberg is going to be king." And okay, that's the only way we can understand it. Obviously, it seems completely fake to us. What are the chances all the others just go away right when Facebook is and the CIA stop their? Of course. But what I'm saying, and one of the main parts or themes of this entire video is if those under the Truman Show dome are not the actors, okay, they're simply playing the script along, it may have been mismanaged where MySpace just went away because of what Fox and Rupert Murdoch did to it without anybody at Fox and Rupert Murdoch under, knowing what they were doing, playing out. See, we see the script. Are you saying we see the script, Matt? But potentially they really did mismanage it to play the script, but they didn't know they were in a script to make way for Facebook. Yes, that's becoming. It's not just likely at this point. We've seen reality play out like this so many times, from the as above, the huge level, the Roman Empire, all the way down to corporate decisions or what Disney decides to do with Star Wars. And maybe that it is another reason to pull this in, because even a few years ago, all I can say was it's made bad on purpose. And to the truth community for Disney Star Wars, that implies that every single Kathleen Kennedy and everybody along the line got a little ticker tape from the bat phone that says we have to destroy Star Wars. And we know we're going to destroy it, and we're going to have to cover it up and make it seem like we really want it to succeed when we don't. And I'm saying it's unlikely reality works like this, guys. I'm saying that the screen, of course, has the reasons for the destruction of Star Wars, or when the Not Milk introduces something that was good and then it works to destroy it. It has its reasons for doing that. We can see its reasons for doing that at the highest levels now. We can see it. But I don't think those that manage along the way, like Ryan Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, it's quite possible or probable that they're simply playing out the Not Milk script without being in on it, without knowing they're actually out to destroy it, just making decisions that will destroy it. Well, how could that be, Matt? It can be easily if that thing, whatever those things are, that you had Jar Abrams, Ryan Johnson, and Kathleen Kennedy, if those things are not the same as you are, if they're different, if they're okay, at the bottom level we have the NPC, the non-player character. It's simply background characters in this reality system that have no connection to soul, spirit, nothing. That is the lowest of the low, as say described by Dolores Cannon, who, the best way to put it is, as she put it, you go walk through a crowded airport. 80%, 90% of those people aren't real. Same as Bliss, the Amazon show Bliss, where in the beginning she says, "You're real." It's like that's a rare thing. It is possible, but it doesn't really. We can keep. I think like the Not Nook would want us to try to debate who's real and who's not for the rest of our lives. What they could be real boy Pinocchios and real girl Pinocchios reduced to wood, which just means they just follow along with the download or frequency or what the screen wants. So a big part of this presentation is, in the old days, the truth community, all we could do is point at it and say fake. And we were generally right. Of course we were right. It's not playing out naturally, but it's not all then the truth community had was, well, everybody got orders, everybody's attending the Illuminati meetings. And if you understand, if reality works this way, there may be no Illuminati. See, if everybody at the highest levels, at least of what can be seen here, who knows, the dark creatures that lurk close to the screen. I don't know, do they exist here or not? Were they banished? I mean, if you're somebody that walks around the streets in New York at any level, is there an Illuminati? If they're following they have power, they have money, they control infrastructure and corporations and thousands of people under them, the way a general would control armies. But in terms of carrying out what the dark reality wants and what it's trying to do to real spirits like you and me, it is quite possible, or even probable at this point, that they're not they're not in on it. They're just simply following the script. And again, it's a little too much in the weeds, this conversation, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. As long as you can see generally what it is at the highest level of the org chart and the two sentences of generally what it's trying to do, just distract you and keep you busy, then yeah, then in a way, it would want us getting more into the weeds as to, well, someone like Oprah, Matt, are they just, is she has to be in the know. She's one of these top Illuminati handlers, and then we could go back and forth forever on that. That's what it would want us to do. And yes, I do jump into those weeds, but I pull everybody out as soon as I can, right? I mean, again, it's an Amish classroom here. When I didn't just, well, I did kind of, I was going to say, I didn't just say that a year and a half ago or 2 years ago for fun. Well, I did actually, but that there is a purpose for it as well, because there's all the grades are together. All the some of the higher level grades, they get, well, not too much recently, not too much over the last 6 months, but many have gotten a little upset at me or sent me a little email or a comment that I'm going back to the screen or this and that. When again, the classroom is all the different grades, and if you're at that super high level, that's not what this channel's for, to serve your super high level. I can try to keep you entertained at the super high level, with some, I'll try to do stuff like Melvin and Bezos and things like that, even at my own expense. Laugh at me if you have to. There's a lot of people here are struggling, but, you know, I'm going to serve, I serve, I will serve the spitballers in the back too. If first grade truthers are here with spitballers, I hope they'll stay. I hope, and they'll come along. But I don't, are these conversations? Many of these are way above their level. It's more to serve the sixth grade truther through the 12th grade and then the graduate level. The super Jedis, the super old guard. I appreciate you still coming to class like radio. Cuba Gooding Jr. never wanted to leave the 11th grade. There will always be a spot for you, and lunch will be served. But I don't, I'm not here to serve the highest level. Okay, I was looking at my notes, and I've definitely been all over the place. I'm just going to go with this. I don't know how it has come out, and I'll improve on it. We'll refine it, and I'll get your comments, and that will help refine it, and I'll get your emails. So it's, of course, all these types of theories are kind of big, and they're all a work in progress. So, I'm sorry if it didn't come out right, but here's a good way to finish out the last segment and trying to understand what I'm presenting here. Okay, any of these groups that had power, if you just say you were involved in it, you were involved at the height of the British Empire, and or whatever it may be, the height of a corporate concern, or the absurd story we were given with John Rockefeller and the breakup the breakup of Standard Oil because those trust busters, they care about you. Thanks, Ray. I care about you, son, and the working man because that's who I am and that's who I care about. That's the trust busters came in and they broke up Standard Oil into Chevron, Mobil, Texaco, Exxon, every single big oil company, and they just took all that ownership away from John Rockefeller when he controlled all the politicians and he had all those trust busters in his pocket. That made pretty. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. But when you look at any at the height of power, all right, okay, you would say, and you're on that board of directors, or you're sitting as Caligula's right hand man or woman as he has his pants down, you're at the top of its power, involved in it. How does it lose its power? Okay, it's possible many of these could have lost their power over time. And again, I'm talking all the way from the Roman Empire all the way down to RCA, the dominance of RCA. The little dogs like looking into the little cone speaker or whatever, the dominance of RCA in the 40s, 50s, 60s. How does it lose its position? And of course, they're not all going to maintain their position, but what I'm saying, it's an unnatural or a reality script, how they all lose their top position all in the same sort of way, but reality is revealed or given away because the people around us just uh, parrot out the same excuses. See, if it happens over and over again, hundreds of years, history repeats, history repeats itself. That's kind of a popular mantra for a reason. History repeats itself because it's a gigantic reality script that's always been a part of this reality system. Maybe one of the biggest things or the primary concern for a real spiritual being in doing what it needs to do here is to step off the escalator, to just break the script, completely go outside of it, and then look back at it from a farther and farther distance, which is what we do as the ship of fools sails, which is what we're doing now. But see, the people around us, they just parrot back that. What did Tony say when I was out with him at the bar a month and a half ago about the old money? I said the old money still exists. You have to see some of it must still exist. And I gave him the Rockefeller example, the John D. Rockefeller. The Rockefeller family at the breakup of Standard Oil, I'll be quick as you've heard me do this many times, $340 billion in today's dollars. If they did nothing but just put it in the bank and then played croquet in the backyard and just collected the dividends and reinvested based on all that what they did, they still owned huge shares, even per whatever they say the trust busters did to them in Chevron, Texaco, Mobil, Exxon, refiners like Marathon Oil. It controlled everything. If they just got the reinvestments or the stock splits and reinvested, the net worth would be 1.2 to 1.5 trillion. I mean, easily. That's not even if they did nothing, the Rockefeller family, and that's not a conspiracy. That's not debatable. Then I tell Tony again. You've heard me do this. Let me wrap it up. That the Forbes article of 8 or 9 years ago says it was 11 billion for the whole family. They missed the dot-com boom. Dustin Hoffman can be told about plastics in The Graduate, but the Rockefellers missed the plastics. They missed the dot-com run. And he's just the same script comes out of his mouth. And if the same script comes out of his mouth or your cousin's mouth or your friends, then the as above, so below. We live in a giant script where every bit of it, even at the highest levels, the Roman Empire is the same script. There's no difference, as above, so below. So Tony was saying, Matt, what happens is the original, the patriarch of the family is the brilliant one with the money, and they know what moves to make. And I was like, yeah, I agree. The patriarch of the family, whatever that means, they built the company from the ground up. I hear you. But see, Matt, the younger ones come along and they're sex addicts and they're drug addicts and they're alcoholics, and they just ruin it. They just let it all go away. It's all he could do is parrot the same thing. That's why all the old money. But I said, well, okay, I hear you. That does happen, Tony. But wouldn't, like, let's just say a few of the old names, wouldn't a few of them have their act together? Maybe like not J.P. Morgan, but the son of Morgan? Where all those people go? They all just disappear. It's so ridiculously unnatural, so artificial. Reality gives itself away across the board. So maybe a few of them would have managed the money properly, and maybe they saw the Vanderbilts just piss it away and said, "Oh, I better not do that. I'll end up like Anderson Cooper, so I better manage it." So we would still have at least some of the old names, right, Tony? Like Morgan, Harriman, Vanderbilt, the same old names that controlled everything. And then even Getty, that was a name of somebody that was one of the richest people in the world. They give you the same script and story about that, but then you have this company that controls magically every single image in the world when people are taking 400 million 4K photos with their phones per day. But every single business concern or TV show has to use a photo from the same old spaghetti scrimmages company or Getty. I mean, it's well, that's where, see, the old money didn't go anywhere. It went into controlling the images worldwide, and the money and power is still there. Um, the damn Getty Museum, this gigantic mansion upon a mansion upon a mansion, sits up on this cliff, and but oh, they just mismanaged it. It just went away. Come on, sir. People around us are they're not idiots. They're not idiots. They're very smart. We always would say they're idiots, but see, no, they're the script comes in the form of a download of some kind. We'll never understand a frequency, and it's like that. You've seen cartoons, maybe a Bugs Bunny with a scent or an aphrodisiac, or puts somebody in love, or a scent, and then what is it? There's a Pepe Le Pew or something, just kind of like floats along. That's what they do. But they seem more lucid than they actually are. They're not very lucid when you probably could get down to the nitty gritty of it. Just following the script. So I was talking about, yeah, I guess let's take it to the higher level. What Tony was saying, and he was just pulling up the same old recycled excuses about why the old money doesn't exist. But again, the Mongols, the Huns, the empires, the Roman Empire, the RCA, it's the same. If you back up far enough, like this is like the same script taking place at different sizes and different levels, and the people explaining it, it's always explained away in the same bullshit manner. Even if you look up the Roman Empire, it'll throw out every excuse against the wall and hope one or two will stick and who's researching it. Oh, you have the barbarian hordes coming in here. Well, why aren't they still there? Why are they? How come if I go to Rome, it's not a barbarian horde today with somebody like Conan sitting on a throne? Or yeah, okay, I hear you, but it's over. Oh, it was the disease. This disease was, and they had to withdraw from Britain because of what played out in the 17 or 15-year-old King Arthur movie, and they had to go above the wall to rescue the Roman family. And this happened and that happened, and okay, if anything were real and people were making decisions on their own, not inside some sort of script, they would have withdrawn back, and instead of controlled what today would be 12 to 15 countries in Europe, they would have withdrawn to four countries in Europe. It's the same script in a way that plays out in the Civil War, the United States Civil War. Why'd they have to have all of it? Is it like that stupid HBO series or whatever, Prime, with about the sports teams, all or none, all or none? Like all or none, the Arizona Cardinals, like 45 years ago, like they suck. Who would want to watch a whole series about the season for the Arizona Cardinals called All or None? They didn't have no chance to win it all in the first place, so it's definitely none right from the start. That's the same with the South. Matt, you just equated the South and the Confederacy and General Lee to the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, it's all related. It's all a similar script. Look at General Lee, not the car, the real Robert E. Lee. Why did they have to go for all of it? It was 12, I don't know, 12 states, including Texas. as they were getting their ass handed to them because the tactics on the battlefield were ridiculous. That wouldn't have played out. It's full army against full army. Any first grader playing general, Mr. Lee, you moron. Any first grader would have said, well, wait a second, we can't keep taking on the North face to face. This isn't working. This would have happened after the first week or two. We're going to resort to different tactics. What some would say, like in a zoo, when you go to a zoo and see a monkey or a gorilla, those tactics would, that's what they would have gone right to that, and they would have taken off the gray coat. Well, what's the point of the gray coat? Makes you easier. Oh, it makes you. It's like wearing a bullseye. Why do you wear a gray coat? Take it off and fight the tactic like that beautiful animal in the zoo when you go see a gorilla, a big silverbacked gorilla. So any first grader could figure that out, but the famed Mr. Lee, just like Schrodeder, spin around, spin around, spin around his grave. I mean, he can't figure that. No, whether he's in on it or probably not, per the main message in this video, he's playing out the script. And somebody that plays out the script the way the screen of the Not Milk wants it is not as real as you, or not real at all. It's one of the two. So but per what we were talking about a few minutes ago, any first grader again that they should replace Lee on the battlefield with a first grader. So this isn't working. Not only the tactics not working, we need to give up some of the northern states. We need to come back and circle the wagons. So they would give up Virginia, North Carolina, anything close to. We're going to circle our wagons around Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina. And say, and by the way, that's not a small landmass. If you want to go live your way, I mean, do you know how? If you ever driven, you hit the tip of Georgia. All right, you driving to Florida. We did it for spring break. Oh my goodness, what a it was great the first few days, and then it turned into a nightmare. I'll tell you about the damn junior year at Penn State spring break sometime. One thing, we got to the damn place. They show you the postcard. Was so Penn State's spring break was so early. It's like the end of March. There's guys in the damn pool with jackhammers. There was no pool. It was a dump. It was okay. It wasn't that expensive, but anyway, I'll tell you about it sometime. You get to the tip of the end of South Carolina. You're like, oh man, we're there. Oh no, it's forever through Georgia, through past Jacksonville, down Florida, into Alabama, or to get out to Panama City. The landmass, it's bigger than France and Germany combined. There's plenty of room if you wanted to circle the wagons in the South and said, you know what, you really want us? You come down here. We're circling over these 3 or 4 states. This is the new South. Why didn't they do that? How come no historian ever talks about that? This is first grade stuff, guys. That's not brought up in a classroom. If you just circled your wagons as the South, say this is going to be the new South from Tampa Bay down to the Keys. That's a gigantic landmass. You could live your way, and I mean it's still huge. People that wanted to live as the South do, they would have moved from South Carolina or Georgia, and at some point, would the look? There's hundreds of things about the whole Civil War that don't make any sense. No reason to get into the nitty gritty of it here. If they would have withdrawn and circled, they would have preserved, in my opinion, whatever they wanted the South to be. Maybe if it was just ended up as the Free State of Jones, at least they would have had that. But it's absurd. Anyway, guys, so it's always the same script that plays out. Whether it be Matt, you're equating RCA and the two dogs barking into those damn speakers with the South and generally, yes, in a way, in a way. And when you back up far enough and look down, you can see none of it makes sense, the artificial nature of it, and now we're seeing that it's not like first grade truthers calling out fake. Oh, I see what you're saying, Matt, but General Lee, he was working, he's an Illuminati man, and he got his orders from the Illuminati control center window. But this was by Pony Express. They wrote, and he got his Illuminati control center cue cards via Pony Express. Like, oh, they're asking me to lose this battle? What? Could this be right? That's the only way we could explain it, but it's not. It's not that, guys. It's these people. Everybody's just acting out the script, and we're exiting the script. We're stepping out of it, stepping off the escalator. And as we do, reality bubble perspective, we're never going to have anything in common um, you know, with my friend Tony, unless it's those topics that can penetrate through the reality bubbles or through the decoding of the bubbles works. If I Tony, remember that game? This is true. A game at Penn State where beforehand you got so drunk you couldn't leave the dorms. A week after the game, he's laying in the bathtub of the dorms. I remember he would see we'd be able to talk about that. The translation would be completely perfect. The Bill Murray's Lost in Translation in Japan, it would be fine. But then if I said V'ger, oh, who knows what he'd hear? It wouldn't translate across the reality bubbles. And then should I get upset at him if that's the case? If being a paying passenger on the ship of fools, on that Titanic, he's just not understanding or hearing what I'm saying, I shouldn't be upset with him at all. I mean, to a degree, if he's a real person, he should have jumped off the Titanic as we did. But if he's on it, he's not going to understand what we're saying. It's not about intelligence. It's not even about common sense, because the root of common sense for us is rooted somewhere else. It is a truer common sense, of course. I mean, what is the bizarro universe where if you stack up 10 bricks, and this brick here represents floor 92, and you pull the brick out and the top brick falls, well, it's just going to hit the eighth brick. There's nothing going to happen down here. It's not going to go. This giant Oort cloud went out over, half the state. I mean, but to Tony, per his reality, he's not missing anything. Per his reality that he's now completely in sync with, that makes perfect sense. And he's not wrong, we're wrong because we're not using the guides or the metrics or the standards of reality that exists. We're using the standards and metrics that don't exist, but good. It's like that t-shirt. Jump for joy if you're not compatible with this reality. Nobody listening to the words coming out of my mouth is compatible with reality. Instead of we're so depressed, and I know so many people are struggling, and I struggle too, but it's the best news of all time. I mean, if you believe, as almost everybody here does, that we just move on to another existence, then not being compatible with what's happening right now is, Matt, you must have been exaggerating. No, I wasn't exaggerating. If you're not compatible with what's on the news, or you see everything is fake, or whatever, fake, cake and like, it's the best news of all time. Just make sure you go it's going to then try to hold you, distract you, get you involved with this trans taco army. Matt, don't you want to know what Justin Bieber really is? No. That it's going to try to pull you there because it sees you're a breakout free range chicken. There's chicken running across the field. What can we do? I don't know. Put pictures of Justin Bieber in front of that chicken and see. It says, you want to check this out. I don't think he's really what he says he is. This is interesting. And they'll pull you off. You've done the hard part. Everybody listening, even if there is members of the trans Paco army, and the equivalency. Was the equivalent pursuit of that? Not and also a trivial pursuit of the Paco Taco army. Well, I don't know. There is no equivalency to it in terms of the absurdity of what truthers investigate. But there's a lot of absurdity in what truthers investigate because that's what the reality is designed to do when it's desperate. You just have to break through one more fence and you are truly free range. And it'll throw everything at you to keep you, inside the pen. So, guys, I guess that's it. I don't think I missed anything. I hope that came out right. We'll continue to talk about it. If there's parts that don't make sense, or if you think I'm, way off in certain areas, let me know in the comments, and I'll, as usual, per your comments and emails, I always readjust my position. I have a lot over the years based on your input. Thanks a lot.